Hi, I'm Jason Driscoll from the United States.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuan Shu. I come from Tsinghua University and my major is English.
Hello everyone, my name is Wang Yinan and I'm also an English major student from THU.
For today's Skills Power Station, we're going to be talking about the structure of a lecture. Whether you're giving a lecture or hearing a lecture, it helps to know that lectures are organized in very similar structures: an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. This will help you organize your thoughts if you're preparing a lecture, or if you're listening to one, this will help you understand the points more clearly.
Oh, Jason, I have a question for you. Talking about the introduction, how can I make my introduction appealing to my listeners?
A good introduction, an interesting introduction, is very important. And one of the ways that you might be able to do this is how you start your introduction. Perhaps the very first thought that you present to your audience can be a joke or something funny. It might also be a question that you raise that invites the audience to disagree with you, or sounds like you might be arguing just for a very brief second until you have time to explain yourself later in the lecture. And then you might also offer some sort of personal experience or some sort of thing that has happened to you that you know is going to connect to the experiences of your audience too.
Okay, thank you.
And also concerning the conclusion part, how to make sure conclusion doesn't sound like you're constantly repeating what you presented before.
That's also a big challenge. When you reach the conclusion, you want to be able to review the information that you've given in your lecture, but you don't want it to sound like you're just giving your lecture a second time, because that will be very boring. If you can find a way to revisit some information quickly, maybe short lists of facts, do this in a way that doesn't sound like you're explaining it a second time, but just reminding your audience again.
Right, thank you. Just highlight the most important part quickly.
Highlight the important parts quickly. Very good, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to talk about how to participate in a seminar. A seminar is a small group of people who come together for a discussion, sometimes a lecture, that will involve some professional training or discuss a specific academic topic.
I have a question that before you participate in the seminar, you need to be prepared in advance. But what if you are not fully prepared? How do you engage with other people's discussion in a seminar?
Sometimes there might be a seminar that you want to attend that is maybe more advanced than what your level of education or your level of skill already is, but it might be a topic that really interests you and you do want to attend. I think this is very important, and there's only so much preparation that you can do. When you're there, it's very important to follow the lecture closely and look for opportunities to ask questions that are relevant while the seminar is going on. Sometimes this means you might be, like we said before, making predictions about what the speakers are talking about, but also just look for any type of opportunity that you can to ask questions.
Thank you.
Well, I have another question. In the seminar, and we always take notes, but how can we be a good listener to others when we're taking notes?
It's difficult to pay attention and take notes at the same time, right?
Yes.
So while you're taking notes, if you can try and maybe limit your notes to shorter phrases or one words, and some people even take notes using shorthand, abbreviations for words. This will help you be able to write down your thoughts quickly while the speaker is going on with the topic. And then you can also try and pay attention and see where is it going to go next. Sometimes as you're writing notes down, it's going to help follow the logic of the speaker to help you expect what is the next statement going to be.
Okay, I think this is a very, very important tips for all of us when we're attending a class.
I think usually just attending a seminar is going to be helpful on its own because there's so much information coming not only from the speaker, but also participants, people who are more educated than you, that will be asking important questions and offering their own experience and opinions. I think generally there's so much to be learned from a seminar that even if you aren't fully prepared and as educated as everyone else, it's still a great opportunity to soak in some of their experience and their knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to talk about how to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you take ideas from other sources and include them in your paper without giving credit to the original writers.
Well, Jason, I have a question. What's the difference between plagiarism and paraphrase?
Paraphrasing, when you just take some information and you put it in your own words, can actually be plagiarism. If you don't include the source for where those ideas came from, you're plagiarizing. So when you paraphrase, it's important for you to judge correctly whether or not that information needs a source, or if it's something that is such general information that there's no necessary source to give.
But Jason, since we have to avoid plagiarism, how to put quotations in a correct way?
The different kinds of formats that are required for different papers are usually going to help you understand how to do that. Sometimes footnotes, sometimes citations, sometimes a bibliography at the end of the text. There are different formats that are required, but they are all going to prepare you for how to include that information for the source so that you don't have to plagiarize. Regardless of the format, it's really important for you to practice including where the source comes from in the paper itself. So when you're giving some facts or giving a quote, you can include the author in a sort of formal but also casual way so it doesn't sound unnatural for your academic voice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.